Peace to the chosen. Peace to the ones that watch me on a deeper level, you know. So I want y'all to, every time y'all watch my videos, no matter how old they are, I suggest you study the present moment and live in the present. Don't think about problems that already have been. It's good to live in those to strengthen your brain and your mind. But when you come in this channel, be open-minded. Don't limit yourself to what you know, because not everybody knows what you know. And you don't know what everybody else knows, family, So that's why I come at y'all with a good video today, family. This video, I want to get on, what's the difference between living externally and internally, and how they differ, and how the world evolves around you when you choose to live how you want to live, This is a video I haven't gave in a minute, and I'm also gonna I'm gonna add another category into this video. How it feels to not smoke weed if you're trying to stop. I myself have conquered that. Not saying that I won't ever go back to it, but I'm just saying where I'm at mentally, my mind is bliss. So I don't need nothing. I feel like I'm high naturally, right? And I've told you that many times before when I was indulging with marijuana, because cannabis, it gives you clarity, or it gives you a sense of recognition to where you start recognizing who you are when you're high, because that's who you really are, right? So if you have that feeling already deep within you, y'all, you go within to see it for yourself soberly, y'all. It's still there. It's just, your brain's not clouded, or you're not living slowly anymore. You're living how life normally should be for you. You're at your organic state. So that's what, being sober for over 70 to 60 days means, y'all. It's a damn near good feeling, because time goes faster, just like if you was smoking, because you're not worrying about nothing. You feel good, so you live, in this present era. So for anybody who's struggling or going through these addictions, man, whether you're addicted to, any kind of drug, man, if you tell yourself I can conquer it, and you fight, because remember, you are the body, but the mind controls the body. So you must have a willpower, family. The willpower defeats any problem, So I just want y'all to be aware. The goal is to love yourself, to be humble, to stay true to you, because you don't need nothing. All you need to do is realize that I'm the creator of all, because what happens and what doesn't happen is defined by my bound to the world, But let's just say you're someone that doesn't have an open mind. So you're like, how do you know what the difference between external and internal is? Well, that's because before I found myself, y'all, like most people in the world, y'all, we are chosen, but we lived in hell longer, because if you're not living in hell, y'all, or you're not, questioning the state you're in, y'all, well, that just shows you that you're not chosen, because a chosen one is thinking beyond the surface, thinking ahead, thinking how can he impact not only the globe, but it starts with impacting yourself, because you must see it in you. You must know that you have what it takes to conquer, any obstacle. This shit that I'm telling y'all is the most hardest things you could do. Nothing is more harder than, driving with purpose, because not many people are acting that way, They are stuck to, what's outside of them. Not saying that, it's not bad, but you don't want to feel that way forever, y'all, because, what is that going to get you, family? The only thing that is going to get you is feeling like you're limited in a world that you are, like I say, putting yourself in, Limitations, they humble you, but it's like putting a bound or a rule over yourself, man, when nothing is over you. So that's why I tell y'all, family, in this video, you don't need nothing. All you needed was aid, questioning and realizing, why do I not feel fully at peace, right? Well, check this out, family. Say you're someone that's like, well, you don't know what it means, or you have a brain to where you feel like, can you give me an example? Because people want to, try to grasp the information any way they can if they don't have the energy to feel it. Because it's not that I'm giving it to y'all because I see it, but I feel it because I've been living this way for too long. So let's just say, I'm 21 years of age, right? So, before I found myself, y'all, around 16, 17, the rest of those years before that, I was living in the box. I was living, doing the day-to-day routine that is made for most individuals, where they sit down, they watch TV, they get on a game, and they relive that shit every single day. Just indulging in that simple dopamine because, you're looking for happiness, but happiness is something that you was taught because that's the shit you were around, right? Because what others knew, so they only push it onto you, right? But once you start looking more and more beyond the veil, and energy starts, showing you what more there is to this world, you start questioning things. You start trying to practice organic things that's gonna make you feel organically, because a lion in the jungle, y'all, is not gonna go eat processed or he's not gonna go to the gym and hit weights. Fuck no. A lion, his natural domain is, like I say, a king, a leader of the jungle, because he already was programmed when he came down here on what and how to act, just by simply being. A lion creates, fortitude, but he is known as the king of all, no matter if it's a panther or there's an anaconda that might try to, tame him. They respect him, and they somewhat of in a way fear him, because his aura, is what brings that, feeling upon him, to where like, I can't fuck with him, or I'd rather stay on his good side, because he's not living in a way to where he has been trying to do the opposite of what he came down here to naturally fulfill. It's like you, family, you weren't made to have a phone and to do things that's making you feel entertained, because that's not life, y'all. You're just being, like I say, somewhat, if you want to call it, misled, or you're guided not to where you should be, because you're giving your energy to things that's not helping you. So that's what it means to live externally, y'all. Externally, it just means that you're living on the physical side of the world. It's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either, y'all, because in a world like this, man, anybody can, like I say, turn cold. They can be already ruthless, or they can just have this killer mind to where they might want to, take you out. And that's why there's so many killings or so many fucking rapists in this world, y'all, because, when you watch scary movies, y'all, and they show you how people get possessed and shit, well, yeah, those people are possessed because they don't have enough awareness to control their brain and, the simplicity of their avatar, man. So they, if you're under the influence of alcohol and shit like that, well, those spirits inside of that beverage is possessing you to do things that you normally won't do soberly. Or if you don't have enough energy within your body already to have an awareness to where, you can fight anything but still enjoy that feeling, well, then you won't ever get what I'm saying, y'all, because you don't even know what it feels like to have that much energy within your body without feeling like you're already dead, I just said a mouthful. But when you enter this, fortitude, or this scientific foundation that I have built up from the ground, you will learn things that you may have never discovered before. Because, I take you underwater, man. Your ass might need a scuba gear just to feel what I'm talking about, But that's what externally means, y'all. So it just means that I'm living, but I'm never going within me to not only find the inner peace, but to realize that nothing outside of me has, more power over me, to make it feel like I'm, like I say, peer pressure, because, you'll become peer pressure not only by people, but things around you, which could be, like I say, drugs, women or guys or whoever you are that, is your weakness, that shit will catch up, or it will start following you, like the devil, because you don't have enough energy to fight yourself, man, which is your lower side. You have a higher side too, y'all, but that's only reached when you enter the internal world, because once you get that sense of peace and clarity and you start feeling good, knowing that nothing around me matters, y'all, because if I feel good within me, well, I make everything around me feel either good or terrible, because that's how I feel in the present moment. So your wife, your husband, you are attracting who you are. So if you are a person who seeks the internal realms, well, you just might attract someone like that of a caliber if you choose to, enter the world of internal. But nothing's wrong with living externally. You just don't want to live externally all your life, man, without going within from time to time, because you will lose, sight over your purpose, man, or you just might feel like your confidence is low, because once you go within, y'all, you'll remember who you are. You'll remember that peace is within you and not defined as a material or as an object outside of you, because no person or no noun should give you what inner peace is, because inner peace is what gives you everything you want if you choose to have an inner peace, Now that I just dropped, that should alone be enough to get it. But for myself, y'all, who has been, celibate for, like I say, so long, I live this shit normally. I have so much energy was restored and backed up in me because I don't waste it. I don't watch films. If I, bang a lady that's true to me and admires me as her king, well, I'm not gonna, lose my seed of life until it's time to create a me, because that is your power as a man, y'all. It's not only about masculinity and staying, as this cold figure that people can't figure out, but it's also to help you move, help your body feel good, give it all the energy it needs to thrive off of, so where you're not feeling weak, to where your bones don't break easily. It's more to this than just the attraction or just getting one off and making your woman feel good, family, That's why I say, family, you want to live with an open mind, because, for someone that's on a state of mental like minds, and someone that's really low and ain't practicing this journey not one bit, well, you see life so physically, man, so small, because you haven't expanded your vocabulary or your glossary to where there's things outside of you, When you live outside of yourself for so long, y'all, you think that the people that kill or drill or rob and steal, you think that shit is normal because you think it's just part of life. But no, that's not normally. Those are gremlins. Those are, entities that are possessing those bodies, because that soul within them doesn't have enough strength to live through peace, because that ego, they feel like it's them, but they are not the ego. Nobody's ever the ego. You are the soul. Remember this. Your ego is here to strengthen your soul. If you combine those two and walk out with oneness, you must get that, family. Watch this video over and over and over if you feel like you have to, because you can see it in these retinas, in these eyes. Someone who is not of despair but of truth, someone not of fragile but of strength, someone who just admires what he's been through, because I'm here today, glowing bright. You're not on a journey to where you look at, let's just say you see a fine woman, she has a man, it's not going to come to you to where you feel like you could take her, because even if that is the case, y'all, you're going to respect everybody for what they got going on, because that's how much love you have for yourself. It's not being, like I say, full of yourself. It's knowing that you found something that not everybody else has, because the ego makes them feel less than. So that's why they are trying to push that shit onto you, because that's how they are feeling at the moment, because their asses are living externally too much. They don't want to go within because they are afraid of those demons that they gotta, go tame, But if you think I'm crazy, Naruto had the same karma within him. He had to go within himself to defeat Nine Tails, right? Ichigo, when he was fighting Aizen in that final arc, y'all, he couldn't kill Aizen. He knew that. But he had to restrain him in a way to where he had to, reverse his plot and the way he was going to go with things, because he was seeking to destroy the Soul Society and just go straight to the Soul Palace or the King, right? But he knew that he couldn't fuck with Aizen. But he knew that maybe with enough strength, he could take him on head on and give him a good battle to where Aizen stops fucking with people because of Ichigo knowing that, I'm gonna hold your ass back, right? And his dad told him, you must practice the final Getsu Gatencho. But even then, Ichigo had to go within a meditative state to meditate with Zangetsu to get answers, man, to get inner strength, because inner strength is what gives you not only inner peace but protection outside of you, family. Because if your words are powerful, if your words are spells, y'all, whatever you say upon you is what you, and as shall it be. So if I am an inner being or a person who chooses to go within himself but also lives externally, knowing that I have this inner peace, well, whatever I say about me is what I'm going to attract. So if I say I'm a peaceful, loving, kindest being, and I attract what's for me, knowing that I am everything and everything is me, right? You will attract that to you, because that's the energy that you are literally giving off to other beings, y'all. That's how fucking powerful you are. No, though you may not know it yet, because you think this shit's a fantasy. You think that you are the body, the flesh. But how can that be, y'all? If you have the ability to go to sleep, y'all, and still be here, because how are you dreaming when you are laying physically with your eyes shackled? You shouldn't be able to dream if you were just a body, because your body would wake up not getting downloads from another source telling you, or deja vu. That's questioning the brain and yourself, right? But yes, family, that's what you must do. It takes a strong mind to live with power, because power is something that's not given. It's something that you find within you to, like I say, conquer yourself, which leads to conquering the world around you, right? Every woman craves a man like myself, because it's not that I'm speaking with wholesome or just a term of language that makes you feel some type of way, but it's the energy behind that, man. Every woman wants a strong man, someone who's not moving with emotion like women are, because they're emotional. They want a man who's gonna lead with a vision, with no fear, with straightforwardness. But that's not every woman though, because every woman ain't operating like a true woman or a true queen. Some women are stuck fighting, like I say, gluttony, because they live a life full of sin, because that's all they've been taught. So who you are around is who you are, and that's just, it's the cold hard fact about reality. No matter how fine she might be on the outside, question her spirit, question the eyes, because you will always know if you are one step ahead, because you have taken the time to go within yourself and hold the energy back so you can live longer than their ass, because you are choosing to live. Unlike them, they're killing themselves slowly without them even knowing it, because They think life is physically because we are appearing physically, y'all. Right? But that's why I'm giving y'all this video, to help y'all, to remind y'all that not everything is physical, because your spirit isn't physical. That's why no one could grab your spirit out of your body, you know? The only thing they could do is make your ass go to work or make you feel drained to where you lose your energy by force. That's how powerful you are, you know? That's why, you know, it takes someone to live through things, to study it, and to push it out in a peaceful, positive manner, because this channel is not about envying others, but it's about making sure that you don't stay living in that same mind frame, because you don't get nowhere like that, you know? Change is necessary. It's not something that when you want to, but it's a must, because how do you want things that you're looking for if you're not changing, you know? To help the planet, y'all, to realize that you must step out like a beacon of fucking light, man. You must have this peaceful energy about you, to where no matter how shitty someone treats you, y'all, you're gonna walk away and still stay peaceful, because, well, if you act another way, well, then you just gave them a part of you that you don't even want to see, because you're not here to become or live in a state of angerness, or, you know, let's just say grudge. You just let it be, because if it's not here, or it's not in my reality, or it's never meant to. So I'm just happy that those problems were avoided, because like I say, y'all, what's for you, God's gonna give it to you, you know? And for the women that have bad spirits, y'all, they're not gonna like this, you know, just like men, because they think what they are living in temporarily is the all too love, because remember, that's how their mind sees it. Because if you don't have energy, well, then you can't even grasp most things in the world, yo, because it takes energy to feel. You can't feel someone, yo, if you don't even have high amounts of what's in you, you know? So you're gonna try to pull people, you're gonna try to pull them back down to how you feel in your level, because your body has been possessed by things outside of you, because you're living too fucking externally. You don't want to go within, y'all, to claim what was always yours, which is your inner peace, your inner power, your inner, like I say, confidence, woman or man, you know? And as I sit here and, you know, give y'all these gems, you know, I do feel lonely, because not everybody knows this, you know? That's why I call myself the loner, or just a straight chosen, you know? Because God chose you to fulfill something that most people can't ever do in their life, man. Because they don't even have the balls to get on the camera and speak, you know? They second themselves, or they question, you know, how others would look at them. But I don't give a fuck, you know? Eisen has showed you time and time again, to be a king, to stand righteousness, is to move on your own, you know? Let your mind guide you to futility, y'all. You know, if you are looking up to someone like Eisen, y'all, or to follow his footsteps, it's like he said, man, I must stand at the top alone. Because the higher and higher he starts seeking elevation and alignment, y'all, the more alone he'll become, because people ain't looking for information. They're craving physical things around him, which are, like I say, a woman's coochie, or they stuck on drugs, or vice versa. They're playing with they self, man, because they don't have no inner strength that's gonna give them a sense of what the fuck am I doing, you know? But let's just say you are there, or you have been there, and you have now risen to your highest. Well, you are looking at yourself like, damn, who the fuck was I back then? That wasn't me, you know? That was someone portraying to be me, controlling me, because they're not necessarily controlling you with the body, but they're getting into your brain and hijacking your thoughts to where you feel like this shit is right, but it's not, you know? So that's what I say, man. Love yourself. and you will attract that if you, like I said, put the inner work in. The inner work has to be in regardless, no matter what. You can't live externally and have love or this, harmony, because shit outside of yours is gonna, like I say, peer pressure you in a way to where you are thinking about it too much. But if you have that inner peace, y'all, you're gonna let those thoughts flow right out of you, man, because they're not even yours, man. You're gonna become cleared in the mind. So that's what makes you act out on purposeness, because you don't care about nothing but you, Not in a way to sound like you're an asshole, but because you haven't found anyone that you can relate to comprehend the message to where they start changing. There's so many people that want to be chosen or say that they are that title, but it's not something good to be proud about, because you're someone that, like I say, is unfortunate, or you're just someone that is pushed aside because you're someone that doesn't have to move with power. Your energy shows you what power is, right? That's why I say you were everything. They just, they lacked. So they couldn't get near you at all. Because they don't know who you are, They know what you were, but not who you are. But this was a video, family. Knowing the difference between living internally and externally. Living internally will grant you peace. Will remind you that problems ain't worth it in a world like this, because if I'm leaving or transcending this world one day, I'd rather live this whole life or my existence as a being that found peace, knowing that it took hell to get it. I was living in hell or the nether realm for too damn long to stay there. So I don't want to be there no more. I want to live in heavens. Like Isaac said, I must climb to the top of the heavens, man, to where you are looking above and seeing everybody else in crowds like zombies, because they're stuck on things that ain't gonna help them in the long run, But yes, for the people who are trying to stop, indulging in, things that are harming you, whether it's drugs, whether it's, sexually things, I tell you all the time, family, it starts with a piece of inner, meditation is everything, man, because it gives you that same feeling that weed can't. Weed can give you that, yo, but it can't give you that for the rest of your life, man. You would have to consume it, because it wasn't something that we were all gifted with to naturally feel high like that, because you are living mentally now in your brain, right? But yeah, family, I had a good video today. This was a good download, because I'm here to show y'all that you do not need no one. You don't need no one at all, family. You just need the inner power, because no one can shake that. You shake them, but because you are not living with fear, you are living with knowing thyself. So you don't give a fuck about no one, because they ain't got shit to do with me. They can't help me or in any way, y'all, but simply distract me if I choose to, sit with them and their problems, right? Not to sound rude or nothing, but that's just the cold fact about reality, because most people in this world are gonna push you aside if they ain't see no bread within your bank account, or they ain't seen you driving you a nice whip, because most people live on that physical dimension, not knowing that this shit that you are having, it's just fulfilling your ego, but you ain't the ego, because your soul is reminding you that you are here because you have a soul, The soul is what gives you awareness, and what gives you, like I say, the ability to love yourself, man, when no one else is around. It's just, it's hard for you to act that way outward, because you start feeling everybody else's auras around you. And if you ain't protected from within, y'all, that shit is gonna leech onto you. And that's why you are afraid to be yourself, man. Because energy is omnipotent. You know, it's something that can hit you faster than anything. Light itself, because energy can't be seen but can be felt. But just know that I wish y'all good luck, man, in this world. You know, if you smoke weed or not, man, I'm not telling y'all to stop. Do it. You know, currently get you happiness in the moment, but just realize what I'm telling y'all, man. Eventually, if you run out of something, don't let the pieces to within, family. Remember that always. Inner peace starts from the interdimensions that must be opened, that you have sealed over the course of you living this life without even knowing. So it's not your fault in a way, but it is your fault if you know and you choose to stay lost, because now you're going to rely on things outside of you when it shouldn't be that way. But I'll see y'all, family.